The argument is that you bought yourself some time and you didn't use it to prepare hospitals. You didn't use it to ramp up testing. Right now, nearly 20 million people are unemployed.
It's so disgraceful the way you say that. How many cases were in the United States when I did my ban? How many people had died in the United States?
So do you acknowledge that you didn't think
Keep your voice down, please. Keep your voice down.
Did you not?
How many?
You asked me when she was appointed. I told you when she was appointed.
You're a third-rate reporter. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much. You will never make it.
A few of the president's exchanges with some of his closest friends during recent coronavirus briefings. The author of the new book, Front Row at the Trump Show, explains the title this way, quote, "I call it the Trump Show because that is the way President Trump sees it. He tracks the ratings and the crowds. He follows the reviews. He slams the critics, but craves their approval. Donald Trump is the creator, chief publicist, executive producer, and star of the Trump Show." That author, ABC's John Karl, remains with us for a few more questions about this book. Jonathan, between us, you and I have at some point been around a long time. And I know in New York, you go back to your newspaper days and you've been around this guy a lot. You know that his image in New York was funny guy, small gatherings, bombastic. He was never allowed to sit at the cool kids table at the big gatherings, the hedge fund guys, the big bankers, the big CEOs. But at heart, he loved an audience. And I say it absent pejorative. He saw himself as an entertaining guy. What's the arc you've seen of the guy with the title now?
Well, that's exactly the guy that I saw in the early 1990s. And Brian, I did a story. The first time I ever met him, I literally cold called him. I looked in the phone book for the number for the Trump organization, and I called and asked for Donald Trump. And within an hour, I was on the phone with him, and he was inviting me to Trump Tower to do a story. It was a crazy story. It was Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis, had just married Michael Jackson secretly, and they were staying at Trump Tower. So my pitch was a simple one. I didn't know him, but I think I knew what would appeal to him. I said, why would the most famous newlyweds in the world want to stay at Trump Tower? And he said, come on up, come on over. And I have a photo from that day. It's in the book. It's a photo that was in a box of old photographs for many years. And I brought it out when he became president. But I look at this photo from 1994, and the guy hasn't really changed. I mean, it's the same tie, the red tie that's a little too long, the same grin that he has in all those photos you now see with him of people behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and the same effort to try to be the middle of the story. Now, back then, he was trying to be the center of attention on that given day of the biggest pop story in the world, the biggest pop culture story. Now, he's president of the United States. It's not as big an effort. He just has to walk into that briefing room. But, I see so many of the same characteristics. But, when I go in now and he's called me into the Oval Office to complain about stories I've done or to talk about things, he seems like the same guy. It's just the stakes are entirely different.
The book, again, is called Front Row at the Trump Show. Jonathan Karl, the person rating people's homerooms on Twitter, is going to give you a huge review. We especially like the modest placement of the Emmys up on the shelf. We miss nothing around here. Good luck to you with the book. We'll be watching you in the briefing. Thanks very much for coming on tonight.
Thank you, Brian. I love the 11th hour. Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.